Good day to you. Mark Seth with HurricaneTrack here. It's now Sunday, the 3rd of November, 2024. Hope you got that extra hour of sleep last night because you're going to need it. The week ahead, absolutely going to be incredibly packed with all kinds of stuff happening. Obviously, the big story globally will be the U.S. election on Tuesday, but thrown into the mix, tropical troubles, severe weather, all of that in what is basically very 2024. I said many months ago, back at the beginning of the year, especially to some of my closest friends and colleagues, that I just had this feeling that 2024 is going to be sort of this upside-down version, however you do that, of 2020. And we all remember what a bizarre year that was. And look, again, we're going to have something trying to come into the Gulf, just like we did in 2020 with all that late-season activity. Just a weird way to begin to wrap up a very busy year in weather. Now, real quick, I did do a video yesterday, but for whatever reason, the audio decided not to cooperate, and I didn't realize it until after I uploaded. Sometimes the gremlins get in, and they do damage, and what can you do? I had family stuff to do after that, so I didn't have time to cut another one, and sometimes you just have to walk away and try again the next day, and here we are. So thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. First of all, Julian Oscillation is in a favorable phase, right now in phase 8, headed through that phase towards 1, and that basically gives us a favorable pattern way up at 200 millibars, what we call the forcing, the velocity, potential, all of that kind of stuff. Basically, you get less sinking air, more rising air. This is the ECMWF, the GFS and its ensembles all showing where we are, where we're headed. And when you see all these little squiggly lines out here, all these different ensemble members, I mean, really the next week or so, probably going to be pretty favorable in the Western Hemisphere, and specifically the western part of the Atlantic Basin. And to that end, here we go. Now look, Patty up here has nothing to do with all that favorability that I just talked about. Patty formed out of a pattern. It is subtropical in nature, meaning that it's more spread out, a little bit less concentrated than a typical tropical cyclone, and we'll look at this more in just a moment as we move through the update. The next area, I don't want to say this is nothing, because it certainly is bringing showers and thunderstorms and just general disturbed weather to the southwest Atlantic and the adjacent land masses, but we can all agree it is Invest Area 97L that is the big story here, and it's likely going to develop into a depression, probably a tropical storm, and I think, honestly, my opinion, this likely becomes a hurricane at some point, and it's going to threaten Jamaica, parts of the Cayman Islands, certainly Cuba, and maybe the extreme southwestern portions of the Florida Keys, and then it's going to get into the Gulf of Mexico, where nobody has any interest in that whatsoever. I think we can all agree. We don't need any more shenanigans. Well, unfortunately, nature does not care about our problems, what we have going on in our lives. It's just going to do what it's going to do. So let's first talk about Patty up here. There it is, subtropical system. The convection with it is starting to wane away. The upper level temperatures were very cold, so it allowed that instability to be a little bit more prevalent than we would otherwise be used to seeing at this high of a latitude up here. But it is a name that we check off the list. This will eventually head over towards the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, and Portugal. But no worries, this will not add to the misery that has been, that terrible flooding near Valencia. Wow, this will not be anything to worry about related to adding to that, so no worries there. This is that other disturbance that the Hurricane Center pointed out, but then this is 97L right down here, starting to get its act together. Hurricane hunters are en route from Keesler Air Force Base, the old C-130 heading out there to investigate, so we'll know a lot more this afternoon. This is what everything looks like on the Tropical Tidbits dashboard. First, Patty. We don't want to ignore it completely. It moved through the Azores. Limited deep convection, borrowed time. Last advisory is probably coming pretty soon, and that will be that. Here's that track I was telling you about. The guidance and whatnot sends it towards Portugal. But again, no worries whatsoever for the folks that had to endure just cataclysmic flooding from the very heavy rain several days ago in Spain. Now, let's take a look at Invest Area 97L, located with an L, the low pressure plot. in the Southwest Caribbean Sea. This is Jamaica up here on the north side of the map. And this is what the general models are showing, the spaghetti plots as we call them. Kind of a wide envelope overall. If you look at this one, this is the H wharf. And then you have on the left side of the guidance envelope the HAFS A, which is the newer model, the Hurricane Analysis and Forecast System, or HAFS as we like to call it. So a fairly wide envelope of possibilities, but the general clustering, though, is kind of like somewhere in here. So probably far enough away from Florida that even the Keys escape any significant impacts. But we're going to have to watch this. Obviously, the first concern is for Jamaica, and Jamaica is not flat with the terrain in there, the mountainous terrain. You could get some serious flooding from this. Luckily, though, 97 and eventually the next depression and probably Rafael, going to be a compact system, so it's not a big sprawling system where it's going to rain for a day before it even gets there. And then a lot of the guidance gets it near the Cayman Islands over here, either Grand Cayman or some of the sister islands. It just depends on how this thing does wind up. And then I think it's impossible to escape impacts for Cuba. It's just going to, depend on where this track's over. Obviously, a more eastern track then gets it closer to Florida, as this one model does show the different H-Wharf models, I guess. I don't know why, I'm going to be honest with you. I guess that's the interpolated, and then I don't know what H-Wharf 2 is. It just changes all the time. But the main idea is that most of the guidance, if you really look at it, the consensus is generally away from Florida, at least for the peninsula. Now, in terms of the potential for this to strengthen, disregard the halves here. Sometimes it just goes crazy. It could be right, especially since this will be compact. We saw what happened with our Oscar. A little bit different than Arthur, right? We saw what happened with Oscar. That this could become a hurricane. Yes, I think it could. A Category 4, that's really stretching it. So ignore that one. Most of the guidance, though, pretty robust that it approaches Category 1 intensity overall, but it's still in its formative stages, and that's very important to note. We do not quite yet have a low-level circulation. In fact, let's just take a look at that. The visible high-res, it's trying, and you can certainly see there's some broad rotation in here. You can see these clouds turning this way, and there's some deeper thunderstorm activity right in here. So it's probably starting to take shape here just off the coast of Colombia, and that's going to give it some time to develop before it gets to Jamaica. And then look at the upper-level winds. They're fanning out, generally in a pretty clockwise fashion. You're not seeing strong wind coming across the top of it and shearing it. So it's in a favorable environment, and it does look like it's going to develop. The models like it. The vorticity signature that I like to look at so much, really starting to get together right here, matching up with what we see on the visible satellite. There's that other piece of energy, but look, it's all, stretched out over quite a large distance. So this is going to take over, and you folks in Jamaica, if you're heading down there this week, you have, a honeymoon or whatever, you need to pay attention to this. Is it going to be a big, powerful hurricane? No. But, 5-10 inches of rain can still prove to be very catastrophic, just depending on the location. That is why we have to pay attention to these things. Same holds true for the Cayman Islands. Generally, they are flat, not mountainous like we have in Jamaica. And then, of course, Cuba is a little bit more mountainous. And so everybody down here in the Caribbean needs to be paying attention. And one positive going for the system, all of this warm water relative to average. The anomalies are still quite positive all through here. And even in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, with the exception of this one area, it's still very much hurricane season. That is why we go through November 30th. So we're going to have to pay attention to this very, very closely. So now let's take a look at it on the GFS here. This is the 12Z run from today. All the models come in the same synoptic time, but they are available an hour earlier for all of us that like to watch them because we're now in standard time. Anyway, this is the 12Z run from today, and this is the 850 millibar region of the atmosphere. And there's that area of vorticity down there, and the one little concentrated part of it that the satellite analysis has picked up on. And then there's the other feature up here. Everything seems to be captured pretty nicely for the analysis So let's move it out and see what happens. 24 hours into the model cycle, tomorrow morning, very well could be looking at a depression right here, just to the south and east of Jamaica. And again, that's going to bring heavy rain and squally conditions, whether you're coming in on a flight or the cruise ships are trying to dock, whatever. This is going to be a problem. Impacts, that's what it's all about, right? Move it through time, it comes right over Jamaica and then heads toward the eastern side of the Cayman Islands. And look how small this is. And this is what gives me, I want to pop back on here. If you've been watching my videos long enough, when I want to talk to you and not just at you, that means it's important. Notice how small this system is. It's compact. That gives me some concern that it could ramp up very quickly over the very warm waters of the Caribbean, and the upper level winds are going to be pretty favorable. We need to watch that. So these tiny little systems, the global models, don't resolve those as well. So once this does develop a more defined circulation and we get the tail Doppler radar data from the recon planes into the models, we'll have to see what happens, especially with the hurricane-specific models. We had that wild run from the HAFS A, I guess it was, that showed it becoming a Cat 4. I won't completely rule that out at some point, like a major hurricane, but it doesn't seem likely. That being said, I want to go on record as saying, since this is going to be such a compact system, I will not be surprised if this overperforms like we saw with Oscar, as an example. Now, unfortunately, we were not able to get recon data when Oscar was at its peak due to its proximity to Cuba, and we could be looking at the exact darn same problem again. So just be ready for this, all right? Not so concerned for Jamaica or the Cayman Islands. It looks like this could do this strengthening phase after Jamaica and before Cuba. Then it gets into the Gulf of Mexico Wednesday morning. Everybody will be all red-eyed and tired from staying up Tuesday night for the election results. What a week it's going to be, right? And then this is in the southeast Gulf of Mexico. Now, luckily, on this run of the GFS, you think about Key West sitting right in here, and the Dry Tortugas just a little bit further west than that. Pretty far away, but look at the overall shape. You can just look at the vorticity signature. This will have that look to it. It's got that wrapped up tropical cyclone look. If we go down and look at the wind field itself, maybe if it is a little bit more to the east, I could see tropical storm watches or warnings going up for the Keys. But if it trends more west, forget it. It's not happening. But it does get into the southeast Gulf, 989 on the pressure. It looks pretty good at the 850 level. What about upstairs, 200 millibars? Pretty favorable overall, but it is getting ready to run into all of that energy way up here that is going to tear it apart. It's just too late in the season. There's your big upper level anticyclone right there. It's on the back side of it, the northwest side. We'll see. I mean, it is going to really be interesting to watch how this evolves. But I also want to point out something very important. This is hour 78, and then look at this energy in here. That's not the same energy that we have now. This is a new area that tries to get going, and that is exactly what happens. So let's watch both of these. We are at day 4 right here, and what would be Rafael is sitting up here in the Gulf, the eastern northeast Gulf, northeast central Gulf, whatever you want to call it. And then you got this other system. And then, look, I mean, this looks like a typical pattern for like August. Big old Bermuda high sitting over here. There's Bermuda. Probably warm and muggy here in the southeast. Temperatures in the 80s. I mean, this is just incredible. It really, really is. You check the date. That's November 7th, not August 7th. And we move this on through to hour 120. So this is 5 days out. Certainly this starts to weaken as it approaches that wall of very strong upper level winds sitting up here. But what is this? I mean, that could be another named storm. This is only 5 days out. I'm not showing you something 10, 12, 16 days away where it's just model chaos at that time. And then finally we move this on through. Rafael to be, whatever's left of it, I guess it comes into darn near Morgan City, Louisiana. And this is day 6. And then finally by day 7, like, are you absolutely kidding me? 1 week out, November 10th, we could be looking at the possibility. Let's see what the GFS shows this. 999. Nothing too whatever. But I'd go down for that because, a tropical storm coming through the Florida Straits in November. I'm not going to miss that. That's pretty historic. And this is what's interesting. Those strong upper-level winds, they're way up here to the north. Fairly light winds all around here. I don't know. I mean, it would just be so 2024 to have something come through the Florida Straits of significance. That's all I'll say. Wouldn't that just be something? Anyway, let's back this up and just look at it one more time from start to finish and how everything plays out. Yes, it is going to be a very interesting 7 days ahead for all of us. And then again, and this is very, very important, added to all of this, and we saw what happened last night, tornadoes again in the Oklahoma City area, Moore and Newcastle, that region, overnight hours. It's just, you never know. The weather absolutely does not give two you-know-whats about us. It is going to happen whether we have elections, whether we have COVID, whatever. We have to be weather aware, and that is always my point. We have to stay on top of this stuff. We have so many distractions. We're tired, we're this, we're that. The weather can sneak up on you. And last night, I have not heard of any deaths yet, but all the destruction, all the mayhem there in parts of central Oklahoma is a reminder that we are still very much at the mercy of the weather. And to that end, just again, want you to be aware. This is today, and we have an enhanced risk pretty much in the same general area, now more southeast Oklahoma. This is Monday, the day before the election, right? And then this is the big day. Luckily here, it looks like for Tuesday, not quite as robust, which is a good thing. So, what a week. All said, everything happening between 97L, possibility of something else trying to develop after 97, which would be Rafael, and then the potential for severe weather over the next couple of days. You just got to stay on top of it. It's that simple. All right? So tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, got to do a YouTube Live. Lots to talk about, so I will be here in the office. I mean, where else am I going to be? I guess I could be out in the field. But no, I'll be in the office, and we'll do a 9 a.m. Eastern YouTube Live. Probably going to have a new depression at that point. We will discuss the future of what will be Rafael, and then we'll have more data related to that potential other system as well. Lots to keep up with for sure as we march through the first full week of November. All right, thanks for hanging out with me a little bit for today. I appreciate your time and attention. From all of us at HurricaneTrack, I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll see you again tomorrow morning.